This is the fascial DCT resistance stretch routine. We're going to do this in a follow the leader format, so you don't have to really think, just look at what I'm doing and listen to the cues and follow along. I'm going to go in a real-time pace, so this routine is probably going to take around 20 minutes, maybe a little bit faster, and once you've memorized the exercises, you're going to be able to go through this in the order and frequency that you want. Couple notes, when you're doing resistance stretching, self-stretches, you should always do it to tolerance. Nothing should ever be sharp. And if you feel any pressure or discomfort in a joint, and I'll try and remind you during the exercises which ones tend to be more intensive on the joint. But if you feel that pressure in the joint, it means you have to back out of the range of motion. So I'm going to be giving you guys some variations on the different workouts as we go along here. For the most part with this routine, do your best to follow along, and if there's an exercise that doesn't work for you, just leave it out and take that time as a rest. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to start, and this is a sumo squat. So feet are wider than hip width, not quite directly under your knees. Feet are turned out on the 45. And we want to generate resistance, so I'm going to scissor and pull my heels towards each other into the ground. I can feel my adductors engage immediately when I do that. And all you're going to do is start moving down into a squat without releasing tension. So you're going to keep pulling the heels towards each other the entire time. And I'm going to warn you, I'm going to start sweating pretty quickly. There's a lot of resistance. Even though it doesn't look like much is happening, I'm squeezing as hard as I can without cramping the muscles the whole time. So I'm still squeezing in when I push up. I'm not just using my quads to stand up. I'm actually using my groin. We're going to do 3 or 4 reps. This is the first set. So as you fatigue, we're going to do less repetitions. On this one, place the hands into the inside of the knees, and when you get to the bottom, I want you to hold tension here. So I'm squeezing my knees forward, pushing my hands backwards, and I'm going to sink as deep as I can comfortably. You should feel the adductors, maybe a little bit of the hip flexor. So now we're going to rise back up. Let's have everybody turn to your right. When you do that, this is for the hip flexor, standing hip flexor variation. You're going to tuck your tail as best you can by drawing the belly button in, and you want to put your weight over on that left side. So I'm carrying all my body weight here. I'm scissoring still. You're going to find that's a common theme. We're always scissoring the legs to create force. And then I want you to add weight to your sacrum. So put your fingertips on your back. Use the fingertips to tuck the tail even a little bit more. And then we're going to start to sink by bending the front knee and dropping the weight straight down. Notice how my back leg's bending a little as I get lower. And then I'm going to scissor coming back up to a standing position. We're only going to do 2 here. You should feel a really strong burn or fatigue through the front of that left hip flexor and quad. More so the quad as you get low. And then rise back up. Shift back to the sumo squat position and drop down for an isometric hold. Notice how I've got my hands at the inside of the knees. I'm not resting on top. I'm actually putting them so I can squeeze in and scissor my heels towards one another. Hold. If you've got this position pretty comfortably, you can reach your chest forward to add stretch and really press back into the knees. We're going to rise up. Now everybody's going to turn left. Just shift up onto that back foot. Notice how my heel's up off the ground. And then we're going to repeat. Tuck the tail. So draw the belly button in. Keep your chest up. Try not to collapse into it. And then fingertips go on the low back to add weight. Keep scissoring the legs, and we're going to sink down for 2 reps. I'm still scissoring the entire time. Back knee bends as it needs to, and then come back up. Scissor and hold. Really long, slow eccentric load for the front of the thigh and hip flexor. Come back up. Shift to center line. Feet on the 45 again, last sumo squat rep. Long isometric hold here. You should be getting deeper with each rep, each time we come back to the sumo squat. I'm pushing into the knees, squeezing in with my adductors. And then start to add a little slow side to side movement. And then we're going to turn that into a bigger motion here. So I'm going to come up for a second. And let's everybody get into a lateral lunge. So the right knee is going to be a little more bent, left leg straight, and turn that left foot a little more forward. Okay? Again, scissoring the feet towards one another. You're going to sit your butt backwards and go into a lateral lunge as deep as you can. Remember, no pressure in the knee. And I don't care if you're up this high. I want you to go as low as it's comfortable and as low as you can hold the resistance between your adductors. If you can get low enough, you're going to start to turn that foot up off the ground. Hold. I'm holding my weight, so I'm not using the floor or my legs. And then we're going to shift. Come to a medium position first. I can keep hands here to control. And then go as deep as you don't feel pressure in the knee. Slight bend in that other knee so that you don't get a sharp sensation. And let's shift one more time. Again, if you're just here, that's fine. But if you have the range and you can sit your butt back, and then up, over to the left, right leg straightens. Good, back to sumo squat. Stand, and here we're gonna grab a prop. So this is the DCT knee pillow. It's not necessary for the exercises, but you want something soft to kneel on. Hard surface, it's going to bother your patella, and we don't want to give you knee problems. So the next exercise is a lunging series for the hip flexor and the adductors. So just like what we did with the standing, right knee is on the pillow, left foot's in a 90-degree lunge, left leg rather, and then tuck the tail. Notice how I draw my belly button in. Feel that right knee drive forward into the ground. Keep your chest tall. And then add pressure with your fingertips on your sacrum. Once you're in position here, you're going to lunge forward. And then pull your body backwards in space. Lunge forward. Pull back. Now hold tension here. And slowly lunge forward for 2 reps. Pull back, lunge forward. Again, scissoring the entire time. Now, so you can see it, I'm going to face the camera. Keeping that knee in the same position, just step your foot out at the 45, which means my hips are forward. That left knee is now out at the side 45 angle from center here. Now I'm going to scissor, bottom knee goes towards the heel, activating the adductors on both sides, and then I can lunge lateral, lengthening the adductors, pull back to center. Because I'm already fatigued, the muscles are already activated, I can go right into the eccentric stretch. So now I'm still scissoring the knees, and I'm going to lunge laterally into the stretch, feeling both medial hamstring on the left, adductor on the right. Nice, let's do one more rep. Pull the knees towards each other. Lunge lateral. Only go as far as comfortable. Make sure it doesn't go up into the outer hip, that you can really feel the adductors the whole time. Good, switch knees, I'm going to face the other way. So now we've got left knee down, right foot's at that 90-degree lunge. And you want your hips directly over the back knee, or as close to it as possible. You don't want to be forward when you start this exercise. And the reason is so that you can tuck the tail as deeply as possible. So again, I don't even have to move forward to start a stretch in my psoas. All I have to do is draw the belly in and pull that psoas onto tension. I'm going to take my fingertips again, put them on the sacrum. I'm going to hold that tension, and I'm going to add some motion. So I'm going to lunge forward, pull my body back. I'm going to do 2 concentric reps, pulling back. And now I'm going to hold that load, that eccentric contraction by scissoring, add that weight, and slowly stretch the hip forward without releasing tension. 1 more rep. Hold. Feel that hip flexor working the whole time. Good. I'm going to turn to face you again. You guys don't have to move. Step the right foot on 45. Scissor, front heel back towards the knee, and then start to lunge lateral. So it's kind of on the 45 here. Pull back to center line. And now hold, scissor strong. The muscle's already active, and you're going to feel both medial hamstring and adductor working. Good, let's do 1 more. 2 eccentric reps as hard as you can. Hold that tension, you should be sweating. Good. So get rid of your pillow. Come back up to standing, shake it out for a second. And then we're going to do some forward bends. So I'm going to face to the side. You can keep the same position that you're in. Feet square with the hips. You're going to bend your knees so that your back's flat. And then you're going to push the knees back and keep your back arched and flat as you straighten your knees. Now the way to turn this stretch into a really strong burn is you're going to gas pedal your feet. So make it feel like you were going to push and lift your heels off, but don't lift your heels off. So gas pedal into the floor, that activates the calf. And then I'm using my hands to keep my back as long as possible and pull my belly button down onto the floor like there was a giant weight hanging on my stomach. As I straighten my knees, I'm only going to go as far as comfortable. It starts to get really aggressive in the fascia in the back of the legs, the back line of fascia. And we're going to repeat 2 more reps. So pretend like you're trying to squeeze the hamstring as hard as you can as you straighten the knees backwards. This is not passive at all. I'm actually contracting the hamstrings and then using my body weight and my body position to drive a stretch through the entire length of the muscle. 1 more. Push, squeeze, gas pedal, back flat, lower back as arched as possible. Nice, stay where you're at. I'm just going to show you my foot position. We're going to go pigeon-toed. So don't let it torque into your knees at all. You want the feet close to 45 if you can. Bend slightly. Gas pedal again, trying to push the ball of the foot and the big toe into the ground. Back as flat as possible. And straighten the knees back. Same movement, but now you're going to be stretching the spiral line of fascia. Notice how I can't fold forward as far. If I do, it gets really aggressive. I can only straighten my knees to here. So if you're up high, that's fine. That's just where you're at with the flexibility and the range. And you don't, let me show you from the side, you don't want to let your back around like this. That's going to take it out of the hamstring so the back stays flat. I'd rather see less range of motion with proper mechanics. Good. Last foot position, again, I'm going to face forward so you can see. Duck-footed, turn the feet out, bend the knees, and then straighten them back flat. Be really careful on this one. The lateral line of fascia is the tightest. We've seen in pelvic floor pain disorder that it's almost across the board One of the tightest muscles is lateral hamstring and lateral line of fascia. Back stays flat, 2 to 3 reps. Let's do one more. Pushing the outside edge of the foot into the ground, feeling it zing up the outside legs. So last rep, lateral hamstrings, duck-footed position, forward bend, and then come up for a second, shake it out, and then step, wide leg position, but a little bit wider than your sumo squat, and you're gonna fold forward, bend the knees, and it's the same movement that you just did for the forward bend. So I'm gonna keep my knees bent, flatten my back, and then I'm gonna straighten my knees and reach the chest forward. So what this does is now I'm pulling and scissoring my feet into the ground. I'm gas pedaling and trying to scoop my feet through the floor. And then I'm keeping my back flat, using my hands to help reach out as far as possible. Now, second variation I want you guys to try. Cross your arms across your chest, and then pretend like you were holding a 45-pound weight, and you're gonna come pivoting up to a standing position, squeezing the feet as hard as you can into the ground. Hold, back stays flat, chest tall, sit the butt back, scissor as hard as you can. Pretend that weight was in your chest, holding. Back flat. If you need to bend your knees a little at the bottom, that's okay. Fold as low as you can. As long as your back can stay flat, grab the outside of the legs and then shift. Turn your hips to the left, turn your hips to the right. Use your hands to help you give a little bit more scissor. Come on up. Carefully step. Shake it out, and you're going to get your next set of props, which you're going to use either a chair to balance, or if you have a walker, we're going to use a walker, which is what I'm going to demonstrate with. And we need an ottoman or some sort of soft bench for you to put your back foot up. We're going to do sliding split. Okay, the next sequence is one of the best fascial stretch sequences we can do. It's the sliding splits, sliding front splits. So I use a walker because it's very stable and I can use it to balance, but you can use 2 chairs, you can use 1 chair, whatever makes you feel stable. This is a furniture slide. They have a plastic bottom one if you're on carpet. You can always take a plastic plate, plasticware, put a towel or something soft on top of it, and it'll work just the same. Back knee is on a knee pillow or on a pillow, so it's soft. And let me show you the movement. I'm going to slide forward, and I'm going to hold that scissor between the back hip flexor and the front hamstring. And the emphasis here is on the left hip flexor, so your right leg should be forward. Slide as far as you can maintain contraction, and you should be able to pull out of it with that back hip. So if you're all the way forward and you can't pull yourself back up using the left hip flexor here, then you're going too far out. So if you can only get to here, that's okay. Just go as far as you can maintain. So now let's do a couple reps. Front knee should be slightly bent the whole time. Pull back to the start position. And then we're going to repeat now 2 reps of an eccentric load. So I'm going to scissor my legs, and I'm going to slowly slide forward, keeping most of my weight on that back hip flexor, driving the knee into the floor, pushing the top of my back foot down into the ground. And we're going to hold at the bottom here, scissoring as hard as you can, pushing that back foot as hard as you can into the floor. Chest should be tall. And come back up 1 more rep. Staying contracted here, tucking the tail at the top, and then slowly going forward. Front foot should be flexed, front knee slightly bent. Push that range of motion at the bottom because we're going to hold isometrically. You don't have to pull back out of this one. You're going to hold that. If you can, balance without using the walker or the chairs. Push that back foot into the floor for the final seconds. Come back up, careful. You're going to switch legs. So now the right knee is going to go into the pillow. Left heel is going to go on the slider. You'll know you did a good job if you're still feeling that left hip flexor burn. And then now go ahead and slide forward and scissor back. Let's do 2 reps that are more concentrically emphasized. Slide forward, pull back. Notice how I'm only going as far forward as I can control the weight. So now, starting at the top, tuck the tail. So you're going to start with that back hip pretty much over the knee. And then start to slide forward. Keep scissoring the legs. Flex the front foot. Go pretty far, but not so far that you can pull back out. Drive back up to the top position. Last rep, tuck the tail. We're going to do a strong isometric hold at the bottom. Slide forward. When you get to the bottom of the range, scissor harder and sink a little deeper. Push the range of motion. Make sure you can stay connected. Bend the front knee as much as you need to. We're going to hold for a 5 count. Keep resisting. And then use the chairs or the walker to help yourself get back out of the position. And stand up. Shake out the legs, walk that one off. Good. We're going to get rid of the props. The next sequence is for the outside hips and the glute. So you're going to start in a 90-90 lunge. And what you're going to do is you have to cross your right leg in front of the left. And you're going to bring it all the way over. So you have to adjust and move yourself out of the way so you don't crush yourself. And then once you have that leg sitting flush, it's kind of like a cross leg position. And then you're going to move the back foot. Watch my back foot. I'm going to move it as wide as I can. So my legs are making like a greater than symbol behind my body. Okay? I'm going to flex both feet. Staying here, I'm going to squeeze my legs together and try and come up into a tall position. I'm not going to be able to go all the way up. Some of you guys might stop pretty low because of how tight the TFL and the joint is in the hips. So now sit back between your feet. You can use your hands to balance. Only go as low as you can maintain pressure into the floor with your feet. Press back up. Hold that tension at the top. And then sink back down. We're going to do 2 more reps. You can balance either on your thighs like this, if it helps you control the weight, or fingertips to the ground. Just make sure you sit back between your feet. People tend to want to sit over their opposite or their bottom leg foot, and that's not what you want to do. You want to go right back between, and you're going to feel the outer hips. Once you can get all the way to the floor, which I don't expect you guys can initially, you're going to do a variation where you hold the top of the knee and lean back. Don't do this one until you have the range all the way down. So now to switch, come on up, uncross the legs, switch knees. So now we have left foot in a tall lunge, right knee down. Remember, you're going to bring the left leg now across, adjust up so you don't crush yourself. And then now we're going to move the back leg, my right foot, out as wide as I can. So I've got that greater than symbol moving behind my body. Now from this position, start by coming up first. Scissor the legs as hard as you can into one another. Hold that tension and start to sit back. I'm going to use the ground to control. Flex both feet. Only go as low as comfortable in the first one. And then drive back up as tall as you can, squeezing both legs into one another. Let's sit back. 2 more. Keep resisting. Hands either on your thighs or to the floor if you get really low. Press through. Last rep. You're going to go as low as you can. Keep pushing those feet into the ground. Sit the hips back. When you get to the floor, if you can get that low, hand goes to the top of the knee and lean back. So I'm actually lifting my knees up. Good. Another variation so you can get that last stretch is you're going to sit, we call this a figure 4. So you're going to put your left foot on top of your right thigh, just above the knee. Flex the foot so the left knee is stable. Push that knee down and away, and then lift it back up towards your chest. Press down and away, lift back, and then to stretch it eccentrically, you're going to pull in towards your chest and either use both hands, or if you need the leverage, you can lean back and press the leg away. You should feel pretty much the same part of the hip. TFL, outside corner. Pull back up. Let's do one more. Another variation is switch arms. Lean your chest back and press away. Good. Switch legs. Left foot forward. Cross the right leg just above the kneecap. Foot flexed, so your right knee is protected. Push it down as far as comfortable. Lift back up. Push down and lift. Once you get to the top, let's try 2. Keep lifting. Hold. Lean back. And one more up to the top. Switch arms and push the leg away, but keep resisting up as hard as you can. Good. Now that your hips are open, we're going to go into the modified pigeon. This is for the glute. This is the closest that you're going to get to that assisted stretch for now. So we call it a modified pigeon because in yoga, a full pigeon looks like this, where you're on top of it. Modified pigeon is going to take account for tight hips. So the glute, you're going to stay on your side, so the entire side of your right leg is flat on the ground. Once you have that front leg position, you want the knee close to 90. So check out the angle. It's not too straight, not too bent. Right at 90 degrees, partway between. And you're going to reach that opposite leg back just as far as you can. Try to get the top of the foot turned over, but notice how I'm still on my side. That's so that I can really push hard with the outside of my leg supported. Then I'm going to keep resisting, reach my chest tall, and just fold forward as much as I can keep the weight controlled with my glute. So I come up on my fingertips as though I'm going to hold my body weight. You don't actually have to bring your arms up, but just carry that weight in that front leg. Push your chest away. And then hold that tension eccentrically. So I'm still pushing, but I'm folding over my front leg. Things to watch out for are too much pinching in the groin. If that's the case, shift onto the side and just fold as much as you can hold tension in the muscle. So don't push the range on this one. Good. Carefully come back to sitting position, and then now we're going to turn other leg, modified pigeon position. It's also a runner stretch position if you've done that stretch before. So here again, I'm looking at the front leg angle. It's a right angle roughly. I'm going to make sure I can push the whole side of my leg into the floor and then reach that foot back, trying to turn on top of it as much as possible. And then I'm going to reach tall and fold forward. Remember, it should feel as though you were going to press a plate or a 45-pound weight if you're holding it, but I don't want you to do that yet. I just want you to focus on driving that left knee into the ground. Reach as far forward as possible, press up for 1. Now keep pushing, and let's do a really strong eccentric stretch. Control the weight with your fingertips. Try to keep your back as flat as possible, and then drive up. Come back to center. Nice. We're going to finish with one more prop exercise, which is the bent knee wall push. We're going to need a block or an ottoman or a chair that has a soft cushion on top, your knee pillow, and if you have a walker or another chair to balance with, those are going to be the props for the next exercise. We're going to finish up the fascial series with a full frontline quad release. So this exercise, the setup is you put the ottoman. I have a block here, but you can use the end of your couch, an ottoman, or if you have a soft covered chair, you can just put your foot up on the chair. And you're going to lean forward when you put the foot up there initially, and make sure your kneecap's comfortable on whatever pillow you're using. And then I like to use something to balance with. So you can use a foam roller or a walker or another chair, something to balance with. And then the movement is you're going to come up tall and then push your foot into the block, hold that tension, and push yourself away from your heel. So I'm using the front of my thigh. If I repeat, push into the block. This is with the left leg. I'm going to show you the right leg next. Push the body away. So 2 reps like that. Now I'm going to keep pushing into the block. This is where the walker or stool comes in handy. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to push my body back and overpower the left hip flexor and thigh. I'm going to go back as far as I can, as long as I don't feel pressure in the knee. And then I'm going to push my body forward as hard as I can. 1 more rep. Hold, drive that foot as hard into the block as you can. Chest tall. Use your body weight and your leverage. If you weren't balancing with the walker, you can use your thigh. Hold at the top. And release. And we're going to switch legs. So to come out, lean forward. Reposition. Notice how my body's forward, almost like a runner start position. And then I come up. So you don't want to start all the way back towards the heel, so that you keep that wetsuit nice and loose as you get set up. Now hold, and you're going to push as you come up to the start position just to get set. Now let's do 2 concentric. So push into the block and force your body away from your heel. Good, reset. My foot, you can see I'm making the block dent by how hard I'm pushing in, and then use that force to push your body forward in space. Keep pushing into the block. We're just doing 2 eccentric reps. This is going to wrap the entire session. Push as hard as you can. Chest tall, tuck the tail, and push away. Last one. Hold. Strong as you can. You should be pushing as hard into that block as possible. Chest tall. Hold it at the end in a isometric. Draw the belly button in, and then carefully push yourself forward. Unhook and shake it out. That's your fascial stretch routine for the week. You're going to do that every day, 5 days a week, with 1 to 2 off days where you have complete rest. You don't have to do it full intensity every day. If you're feeling a little bit sore, you can go lighter. I demonstrated it at full intensity, which is why I'm sweating. You can make this as hard or as easy as you want. So stay within reason. Only do the exercises that feel good, and don't push into the pain. This should be intense, but not painful. Thanks for watching, and we're going to show you the muscle and maintenance routines next.